In Mumbai, one private home rises like a skyscraper. From the street, it does not look like a normal mansion. It looks like a vertical city. Stacked gardens, private floors, hidden systems, and a presence so unusual that people around the world still ask the same question. Why would anyone build a home like this? Antilia is not famous because it is easy to understand. It is famous because it breaks the mental picture of a house. Most mansions spread outward behind gates, lawns, and long driveways. Antilia rises upward, floor after floor, in the middle of one of the most intense urban environments on Earth. Public sources commonly describe Antilia as the residence associated with Mukesh Ambani and his family. It sits on Altamount Road in Mumbai, an address connected with extreme wealth and high land values. But the building's power comes from something stranger than location. It turns private life into a visible landmark. That is the first paradox. A private home normally disappears from public view. Antilia does the opposite. Its shape, height, and layered facade make it impossible to ignore. It is both hidden and exposed, private and famous, a family residence and a global architectural symbol at the same time. The reason begins with land. In cities like Mumbai, horizontal space is scarce and intensely contested. A traditional estate needs distance, frontage, and open land. A vertical residence creates a different luxury, altitude. Instead of spreading across a private park, the home stacks privacy into the sky. Height changes the psychology of a home. The higher floors separate the residence from traffic, noise, and street-level attention. Views replace lawns. Controlled entrances replace gates. The building becomes a way to create distance without leaving the center of the city. This is why Antilia works as a story. It is not simply a rich person's house. It is a problem solved in an extreme way. How do you create privacy, ceremony, service, views, and symbolic presence when the city around you is already full? You build vertically. One of the most repeated details is that Antilia has 27 floors, but the number alone can mislead. The floors are commonly described as unusually tall, so the building appears closer to a much taller conventional tower. In other words, 27 floors do not behave like 27 ordinary apartment levels. That matters because luxury at this level is not measured only by area. It is measured by volume, arrival, ceiling height, air, light, and the feeling that each zone has its own identity. A low ceiling makes a room practical. A tall space makes a room ceremonial. Public descriptions often mention that no two floors were intended to feel exactly the same. Whether every internet detail is accurate or exaggerated, the architectural idea is clear. Repetition is avoided. The building sells vertical variety instead of a single repeated apartment plan. A building like this cannot function like a normal house. It needs an operating system. Elevators, service routes, technical floors, security layers, maintenance spaces, climate control, and staff circulation all have to work together without making the private areas feel busy. That hidden system is part of what makes extreme luxury invisible. The public sees a dramatic exterior. Guests may see a calm arrival, but behind that calm is choreography. Vehicles, deliveries, maintenance, events, family movement, and security all separated into controlled paths. This is the difference between decoration and infrastructure. A normal luxury tour shows marble, chandeliers, and views. The real story is the machine behind the marble. Antilia is fascinating because the home itself becomes an engineered environment, not just a set of beautiful rooms. The deeper purpose is separation. Separation from noise, separation from crowds, separation between public attention and private routine. At this scale, architecture is not only about what can be seen, it is about controlling who moves where, who meets whom, and what remains unseen. That is why the building can feel almost unreal. It takes ordinary domestic functions and stretches them vertically. Parking is not just parking. Arrival is not just a front door. Wellness, Entertainment, worship, hosting, and family living become separate layers inside one private tower. Many people react to Antilia as a symbol before they understand it as a building. They see contrast, a vast private residence inside a crowded city. That contrast is exactly why the images travel. The building compresses questions about wealth, privacy, and urban life into one object. But there is a problem with famous houses. The more famous they become, the more myths attach to them. Floor counts, amenities, staff numbers, and private rooms get repeated online until rumor and reporting blend together. A careful documentary has to separate what is public from what is private. So this film does not pretend to enter private rooms. It looks at the public architectural story, the height, the address, the vertical logic, the known design ambition, and the way the building became a global symbol. The mystery is not gossip. The mystery is why the form exists. That restraint actually makes the story stronger. If you remove the rumors, Antilia is still extraordinary. A private residence with skyscraper presence does not need exaggeration. The verified shape of the idea is already rare enough. Part of the fascination comes from emotion. A home is supposed to feel intimate. A skyscraper is supposed to feel public, commercial, or corporate. Antilia forces those categories together. It asks the viewer to imagine a family home with the mass and complexity of a landmark. That contradiction creates attention. People do not click only because the building is luxurious. They click because the category feels wrong. Is it a mansion? Is it a tower? Is it a palace? Is it a private city? The uncertainty becomes the hook. Great luxury stories often work this way. They are not just expensive objects. They are objects that break a rule. A yacht becomes a hotel. A private jet becomes a palace. A residence becomes a skyline. The stronger the rule being broken, the longer the audience keeps watching. Antilia also travels because it is instantly recognizable. A viewer does not need a real estate degree to understand the image. One home, many floors, dense city around it. That visual simplicity is powerful. The explanation underneath it is complicated, and that gap creates retention. For luxury exclusive, that is the lesson. The best subject is not the broadest subject. It is the clearest object with the deepest unanswered question. Antilia gives us both. A visible object everyone can grasp and a hidden logic that takes time to unpack. This is also why the video should not become a list of amenities. Lists are easy to leave. Investigation is harder to abandon. Each section should answer one question while opening the next. Why vertical? Why so tall? Why so private? Why so famous? And what it says about luxury now. So why is Antilia the world's most impossible home? Because it combines things that usually stay separate. It is domestic and monumental, private and visible, urban and isolated, a residence and an operating system. A home designed not only to shelter people, but to control an entire private world. The building does not need to be judged only by whether someone likes it. Its importance is that it reveals a direction of extreme luxury. At the very top, privacy is no longer just a wall or a gate. Privacy becomes height, infrastructure, circulation, and the ability to disappear while remaining visible. That is why Antilia remains such a magnet for attention. It is not simply a house people envy. It is a house people try to decode. The building turns wealth into architecture, architecture into mystery, and mystery into one question that refuses to disappear. Maybe that is the real reason the image keeps spreading. Antilia shows what happens when a home stops being only a place to live and becomes a statement about distance, control, and imagination. It is not a normal mansion. It is the idea of privacy built upward. The question is not only how large Antilia is. The question is what a home becomes when privacy, height, and infrastructure matter more than ordinary domestic life. Subscribe to Luxury Exclusive for evidence-led stories about extraordinary architecture and private worlds. If you want to be a billionaire, like, subscribe, and comment. God bless you.